You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the April 17th, 2024 meeting of the LaPorte County Board of Commissioners. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good evening, everyone. We'd like to call the LaPorte County Commissioners meeting Wednesday, April 17th, 2024 at 6 p.m. Call the meeting to order. We'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. If we could have Judge Baldwin lead us in prayer. Yes. And then and then we're also going to take a few seconds afterwards to honor Marilyn Jones, Atlee Price's wife, who works in the prosecutor's office. She passed away this week.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to start with honoring the Honorable Judge Paul J. Baldoni.
Should do roll call first.
Oh, okay, let's do roll call first.
Commissioner Grammarosa.
Present.
Commissioner Brzezinski.
I'm here.
Commissioner Haney.
Present.
3 present.
Oh.
I am looking for my list. Give me 1 second. I'd like to start out with honoring all the judges that are present. I'd like to start with Honorable Judge Rich Stahlbrink, Honorable Judge, Senior Judge Steve King, Honorable Judge Tom Alaviso, Honorable Judge Greta Freeman, Honorable Judge Jamie Oss, Honorable Judge Jeffrey Thorne, Honorable Magistrate John Link, Honorable Magistrate Pamela Muncy, Honorable Magistrate Erica Stallworth, Honorable Senior Judge Nancy Gittinger, Honorable Senior Judge Kathleen Lang, Honorable Senior Judge Michael Bergeson, and Honorable Senior Judge William Bolin. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Madam President. Members of the Commission, I'm Rich Stahlbrink. I'm Judge of LaPorte Superior Court 2, and I'm honored to be here today on behalf of Judge Baldoni's family and Judge Steve King to speak on their behalf, who originally came to me with the request to approach the Commission for a resolution to allow them to plant a tree in remembrance of Paul, who left us on December 17th, 2023 at the age of 79. I've drafted a resolution for you to review and present to you, but I'd like to say a few things about Judge Baldoni for your consideration. And I think, I don't know that I've ever had all of the judges together in one room en banc here in support of such a absolute tribute to such a great person. Paul passed away December 17th, 2023 at the age of 79. He was raised in Mishawaka, received his undergraduate degrees and law degrees at Indiana University, and he moved to LaPorte to join the firm of Smith & Smith in the early 70s. a short time ago, in 1976, he was elected judge. Judge Boakland is our local judicial historian, and he and I were talking. Paul served 33 years on the bench here in this very building. And we were talking, trying to find out if we could find another judge that had a longer term of service. So far, we have not, correct? So far, we think Judge Baldoni may have served longer than any other judge in LaPorte County. During his time as judge in LaPorte Superior Court 3, did a number of things. I'm going to go through a couple of things that people may not be aware. He was a member of the Civil Bench Book Committee, and if you're not a judge, you probably don't know what that is, but the Civil Bench Book is a book that's put together by judges for judges to help judges navigate the areas of the civil law that you may not come up to every day. I always tell people I do everything from, on a given day, from murder to dividing up Tupperware and a divorce, and everything in between. And so you have to be ready to handle any type of case that comes in front of you in a jurisdiction like we all have here in LaPorte County. Paul served on that Civil Bench Book Committee to help those other judges and help pave that way for them to be able to be better judges. He was a member of the Board of Managers for the Indiana Judges Association, which is an association of judges elected by their peers to help serve other judges and make it easier for us to do the jobs we do. He was a graduate of the Indiana Program for Judges. He was a graduate of the Indiana Judicial College. That means he completed enough judicial continuing education during his time as a judge to graduate from the Judicial College. After retiring, he became a member of the Senior Judges Committee for the Judicial Conference. This is for the Indiana Supreme Court so that we can have senior judges, as we have here tonight, to help us when we need a vacation or when we need help in our dockets. He served on the committee to make sure that would be in place and that would happen. He helped initiate the LADS program here for defendants charged with driving under the influence and other types of alcohol issues so that we could have safer streets and we could have less recidivism. So many numerous other things I could go on to mention. I should say Paul's wife and Debbie is here today. Deborah was a teacher for many, many years here. His daughter is here today with family. Paul was a teacher and mentor to many of us here. Together they have impacted thousands of lives for LaPorte County. What we're asking today in this resolution is to be able to plant a tree in the courthouse lawn in memory of Paul. And I know I talked to each of you individually. I think the concerns were make sure we get the right location, make sure it's not going to interfere with anything, but everybody seemed to be in favor of it. I think it's very appropriate because the tree, if I'm not mistaken, will be a redbud tree. Paul was an avid IU fan, an avid Cubs fan, and an avid golfer. And I think the redbud tree is perfect because it signifies spring. It's time to play golf. It's time to play baseball, things that Paul was passionate about. There'll be a plaque on the bottom of that, stone on the bottom of the tree that will say something about Paul, but it will read, "Justice was his North Star." And I think that's perfectly appropriate for the life that he led. I'm going to ask you to adopt the resolution in a minute, but if there's any other judge or lawyer that wants to say something on behalf of Paul, more eloquent than I can, I would invite them up to do so.
Not more eloquently.
Judge Link?
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. I'm John Link, Magistrate of LaPorte Superior Court Number 4. I just wanted to share a few thoughts about Judge Baldoni. When I was a brand new attorney, I cut my teeth under Judge Baldoni. I was assigned to his courtroom as a public defender, and I learned a lot from Judge Baldoni. One of the interesting things about Judge Baldoni was that he would go to Heilman School to the kindergarten class, and the teacher, Mrs. Justice, would have a day for each letter in the alphabet. And of course, he came on the J day for judge, and he would teach the kids about J, and he actually taught my daughter about a judge as a kindergarten at Heilman. I can't think of a better tribute to Judge Baldoni. He was a fixture in this building, and his roots in this community were deep, and he cared about this community, and he served this community for a long time. And I think a tree on the courthouse lawn is very appropriate as a tribute to him and his family. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? I will say, we do have Law Day coming up on May 3rd. That's going to be held in LaPorte Superior Court 1. Is that correct? Law Day is an annual day where the Bar Association and the judges come together to celebrate law, to also award a Liberty Bell Award to somebody who has impacted law in the community. I know we're going to recognize Judge Baldoni that day as well, along with other judges that have passed. I would invite members of the commission to attend as well. I think this year's theme is Voices of Democracy. And it's usually a very good program. We have a very good speaker this year. Judge Boakland is going to speak, I think, at the Law Day program. So he is kind of the permanent historian and speaker. So that being said, on behalf of Judge Baldoni's family, and on behalf of all of the judges of LaPorte County, including, I think, all of the lawyers of LaPorte County, I would ask that you formally approve the resolution that has been presented to you to honor and pay tribute to Judge Baldoni.
Okay.
Do you want to read that, or or we can just pass it on?
I can read the proposed resolution.
It's up to you, or we can pass it by title only. It's your call.
I'll go ahead and read it. This is resolution number 2024-2, recognizing the Honorable Paul Baldoni for his commitment and service to the citizens of LaPorte County, Indiana. Whereas the Honorable Paul J. Baldoni passed away on December 17, 2023 at the age of 79. Whereas Judge Baldoni moved to LaPorte to join the firm of Smith & Smith in the early 1970s, and in 1976 he was elected to serve as judge of LaPorte Superior Court 3, a position he held with distinction for 33 continuous years. And whereas his 33 years on the bench placed him among the longest serving judges in the history of LaPorte County. And whereas during his time on the bench, Judge Baldoni and his staff brought an efficient approach to a court that consistently had a very high volume caseload. His rulings were marked by his respect for the law, combined with a certain wisdom and compassion for those who appeared before him. Whereas we wish to recognize Judge Paul J. Baldoni and his wife Deborah for their service and sacrifice to the citizens of LaPorte County, and to forever recognize and mark that service by allowing his family members to plant a tree with a memorial marker on the lawn of the LaPorte Circuit Courthouse. Judge Paul J. Baldoni will be missed by all.
I'll make a motion that we adopt resolution number 2024-02, recognizing the Honorable Paul J. Baldoni for his commitment and service to the citizens of LaPorte County, Indiana.
I would second that, and the remainder of that resolution was, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of LaPorte County, Indiana, that LaPorte County hereby recognizes, commends, and thanks Judge Paul J. Baldoni for his dedicated services to the citizens of LaPorte County, Indiana. This resolution shall be in full force and effect after the passage by the Board of Commissioners of LaPorte County.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Do we have all the judges come up front so we can take a picture of you guys and then also make a thank you?
Certainly.
And then we'll stand up. I stand up.
You young lady.
I like that. And on my tippy toes here.
I don't know how you miss me. Do you want to have one with Mrs. Baldoni?
Trust me.
Cover of the roll.
There you go. Okay, I gotta wait 2 minutes. Thank you, guys.
Thank you all. Dismissed, yes, dismissed. We'll give everyone a minute to just clear out for those who wanna leave the meeting.
Yeah, they will. Yeah.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing for all of us. Yeah, it was great.
Yes, we have a location.
I think he
If anyone would like to move up, you can move up front.
Thank you all for coming.
If anyone else would like to move up front, you can go ahead and move up front. We'll give everyone a second to just get settled.
Hi there.
Okay, it looks like we're all settled. We'll continue. Consider agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Madam President, we have a couple changes under 10C. Request for Steve Irick. Yes, we remove that from the agenda
Okay,
and move 8 public comment to 12D. And I would motion to approve the agenda as amended.
we have a motion. Do we have a second?
You want to move public comment to 12B?
D.
D?
Yes.
At the very end of the meeting?
Yes.
I'll decline to a second.
Okay, so I'll step down as president and I'll make the motion the second for the changes. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay.
Consider approval of March 20th, 2024 minutes.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Consideration of claims.
Starting with payroll, commissioners, we have the period ending 3/22/24 in the amount of $1,506,361.80, and also payroll for the period 4/5/24 in the amount of $1,470,840.37.
Motion to approve payroll for periods ending 3/22/24 as well as 4/5/24.
Oh, second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 And then we have operating expense claims for the same periods of $2,202,989.14 and $1,924,128.63.
Motion to approve both claims as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Moving on to department head comments. Do we have any department head comments?
There's trouble.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm neither a department head or an elected official, but I'm here for Michael Schultz in the assessor's office.
Okay.
I just wanted to give you guys an update. Tax bills have gone out. They were mailed out April 8th. Hopefully most people should have gotten them. The biggest question we've gotten with tax bills is about the mortgage deduction. The state of Indiana removed the mortgage deduction from the tax bills, but then took that $3,000 that was the mortgage deduction and added that to the homestead deduction. So if people receive their tax bills and look down at the bottom and notice that where there used to be a $3,000 in 2023 and now in 2024 it shows a zero, they didn't lose it. It didn't fall off. It's no longer an option. But then you will also notice that at the homestead exemption used to be $45,000 and now it's $48,000. That's been a big question. I'm sure Tim, your office has probably got quite a few questions about that as well. So they didn't take anything away. They just kind of changed it around. Therefore, if you don't have a mortgage, you still are getting the benefit of the extra $3,000 off your assessment. I did make a list so I wouldn't forget. The assessor's office, we are starting to print the notices of assessment. I will mail those out April 30th. That's the green form. It tells you your assessment of what it was last year compared to what it was this year. You have until Monday, June 17th to file an appeal if you disagree with that assessment. There is no fee to file an appeal. There's no fee to take your appeal further processes. If you don't agree with the assessor's office, that isn't the end all be all. There is a process. It is called the appeal process. There are many steps. None of that costs any money. There was some talk about earlier in the year that the appeal process was made to be kind of convoluted and cost money to taxpayers, and that is not the case. The only way that it could cost a taxpayer some money is if they decided upon themselves to get themselves an appraisal. Sometimes an appraisal can cost you $250, $300. That is not required. You don't have to have an appraisal to file an appeal. Just keep in mind that assessments are based on market value. Your assessment should be relatively close to what your home would sell for on the open market. Unfortunately, we all know that this real estate market is still pretty intense and pretty high. If you have questions, you can file an appeal online. You can come into the office, absolutely. You can call. You can send in your appeal. We're there to help. We really are with the government, and we're here to help. That's our motto. I know it's funny, but it's the truth. The one caveat with the Form 11s is we've taken, at the suggestion of a council member, Justin Keel, to try the bulk rate mailing with our Form 11s. Once that process is done and I have monies compared to what it cost last year to this year, I'll come back and share with you if there was a cost savings, what the process was, because I'm not going to lie, at the beginning it was a little cumbersome. And getting help with the post office, as much as they were helpful, they really didn't know how to get that set up either. Getting a permit number and then getting that permit number on the envelopes and so on and so forth. Hawkins has been fantastic. I recommend them. If you have any kind of printing needs, I will recommend them. They have done everything they can to get it out to us on time. Greatly appreciated on my part for them. So do you guys have any questions, or?
I don't.
I know I talk fast.
Sums it up pretty good.
The last thing I want to say is that with tax bills going out, with Form 11s going out, the three offices, being the assessor's office, the auditor's office, and the treasurer's office, we're basically one. Okay, the taxpayers don't understand that, my office does the assessments and the deductions are upstairs and treasurer's office takes money. When they come to an office, they're just looking for questions and having answers for them. And if we can all work together for the betterment of the people, because that's why we're all here. We all have a job because we're here to serve the people of LaPorte County. When they come into the office and they're greeted with a smile and welcomeness, then even if you don't give them the answer that they want, they tend to understand and they receive that very well. We try to work together and do what's right. We're all human, we all make mistakes. People don't always know what the lines are and the deadlines and what they have to do, where they have to do it. If it's for the betterment of the people, I think we should try to do that as much as we can. And I know that your office is working very hard to do that with me today. And I greatly appreciate that, because people don't understand. It is confusing. Taxes are a year in the rear. They get confused. They buy a house. It has exemptions one year, then they fall off. They don't know. They don't get it until they get their tax bill. It's confusing. So I would like to extend that we work together and help the taxpayers. There's a lot of gray area in property taxes. Not much black, not much white, it's a lot of gray. And if it's for the right thing to do, I would like to follow that path.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other department heads?
For the record, we disclaim any association with property tax assessing. For the record, we disclaim any association with property assessments.
Sure, and please do come
Playfully.
to my office about assessments and deductions and exemptions. Please go to the auditor's office. They'd be happy to assist
But you are correct that we work well together.
We do work well together, and it really does help when we all can work together. And I'll say it again, for the betterment of the people, because that is why we are here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing none, I have something here, Madam, I'd like to present. I received an alert from the Veterans of Foreign Wars Legislative Office in Washington, D.C., which I was a part of for 9 years. Take action for a claim shark. A claim shark is an individual or company that charges hefty fees to assist or consult veterans and survivors with filing their VA benefit claims. This practice is illegal. In fact, none of these private companies is better than the others. They are all operating illegally. Claim sharks are not VA accredited, meaning they are not required to adhere to professional or ethical standards, so their advice can be misleading and even fraudulent. Some of these predatory practices include guaranteeing an increased disability rating or percentage increase, advertising expedited VA claims decisions, requesting your login credentials to access the veteran's personal information through secure VA websites like eBenefits and va.gov, imposing their predatory contracts, and telling veterans to forego VA medical examinations while offering consultations from their own network of doctors. The VFW opposes proposed legislation like the Plus for Veterans Act or any legislation that would assign future benefits and legalize these practices to allow companies to charge up to $12,500 for claims assistance. No veteran should have to pay for earned benefits. If you have questions about your VA for yourself, for your family, we have a staff veteran service officer right here across the street, 555 Michigan, Ed, and also one in Michigan City that's there 3 days a week. That's who you see. That's who you want to see to get your VA, because these claim sharks, we're going to track them down. We're going to find out who the heck they are, but taking advantage of veterans, and we just ain't going to have that. So, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Well said. I do have one thing here briefly, Madam President. There's brought to my attention. There's been in our facilities department. There's been some demotions and pay cuts been going on. I've got concerns. I think the board should look into what's going on with that. I've got concerns that we've got some folks that are leaving. We could be hemorrhaging quite a few employees with some of these demotions and pay cuts that have been transpiring here over the last couple of weeks. It's concerning me on a number of factors, as well as we have someone brand new into the position, and now
That's an internal issue.
it is, but it's concerning because I know there's.
Let me introduce
when I was
you
new
to
on
Mr. Paycheck there. He's our county attorney, and if you have anything that has to do with one of our departments, you're always more than welcome to talk to him,
Sure.
and then he can address those type of inner problems.
I appreciate that. One of the reasons why I bring this up is, as I was new in the office a couple of years ago, there was a time where something somewhat similar was occurring to the cleaning crew with facilities. And then, of course, that led to hemorrhaging of employees, and we wound up privatizing or hiring an outside company to come in and do cleaning for us because we didn't have enough employees. We don't need to rehash that. But my concern is that with the rumors that I'm hearing from some folks about the desires of both the commission president and council president, that there may be a push and a drive to privatize our maintenance and facilities. And if that's the case, then, it should be something maybe pursued more openly than causing all of our employees to take pay cuts, demotions, and
Again, what is your accusation?
I'm
The
not making
commission-
accusations, I'm making observations.
No, you just said, go ahead, repeat your accusation, because you're good at accusations. Go ahead.
So my concern is that there seems to be a desire by some folks to privatize our facilities department, which
And what
maybe that's something that we need.
individuals was that?
Two, it seems like both yourself and Council President Novak.
Okay.
And
And what
that's,
evidence do you have of that?
well, at least one person's own words.
Okay.
So if I'm mistaken with you, I'd be happy to hear that. But my concern is that by bringing this out in the open, if
Well,
we're
again,
if we're
I think
purposefully
Mr.
driving
Paycheck-
employees away to put ourselves in a position where we don't have the manpower to do our job, that's completely different than having an open dialogue about whether or not we should or shouldn't privatize our facilities department. I mean, these are people who've worked here for a long time. They don't deserve to get their salaries cut and get demotions just out of the blue.
Mr. Paycheck, I think that this is an internal issue. And again, I would have to talk to the department head to figure out, and HR to figure out what is happening. And then for us to, again, this is bringing, so if there's an employee issue, that why this was done, is the commissioner's meeting room the place to address any kind of issues?
Thank you, Madam President and Commissioner Haney. For what it's worth, this is the first I'm hearing about any privatization of that department, number one. And number two, if there was any employee issues with regard to that department, I'm not part of that. That would be through HR. So I just want to kind of assuage anyone that has concerns in the county. I haven't been apprised. I have no knowledge of anything of that nature, if that helps. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bishop.
Okay, moving on, do we have any other department heads? Anyone on Zoom? Hearing none, we'll close department head comments, move on to request.
Public comments?
Moving on,
Yes, thank you. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Madam President. I'm sorry, go ahead. I apologize.
are you a department head?
Yes, ma'am. I'm Sean Fagan.
Go right ahead.
This is regarding, I thought you were moving into 10A regarding requests. Just to give you, if you wish, I can give you a brief synopsis, if that would help things, or if any questions you may have at the outset. But we have 4 travel requests. 2 are for APS and 2 are for my criminal people. The Denver in June and Missouri in late May, those are for APS. Those are funded in part thanks to the $32,000 additional funding that we received from the state in a new grant. So we're trying to move funds, use funds that are available through that, which is funding available through the end of September, I believe, in order to utilize the current funds that we have. The trip to Anaheim in late May, that is with the All Rise group. I have 2 deputies going, Barb Stooksbury and Dennis Caviston. So a lot of the judges are going to that event en masse. And so none of those will be the trip to Anaheim and also the trip to Louisville, Kentucky for one of my deputies that are all funded through either funding through IPAC, which has available a certain amount of money, or in the case of one of the deputies, it's funding that's front loaded through certain probation fees, which we will repay once we get reimbursement from IPAC. Do you have any questions?
So I would like to, let me read it first, because we didn't even get the
let's do
opportunity
that.
to read it.
Okay.
So the first request is consider 4 travel requests: Denver, Colorado from June 4th to the 6th, St. Louis, Missouri from May 20th through the 21st, Anaheim, California from May 22nd to the 25th, and Louisiana, Kentucky from June 3rd through the 5th. And this is for staff for Sean Fagan, prosecuting attorney.
So you won't be asking for any
Yes.
money from the council?
No, because current funding for APS, the two events, I'm not going to these events. APS people, the Adult Protective Services, they will be going to Denver, and then they will also be going to St. Charles, Missouri. That's currently funded through existing funds under our APS contract, plus an additional $30,000 that we received earlier in the year. And so that that additional funding is only available through the end of September. The one in Anaheim, two of my deputies are going. That's for the All Rise Conference. That's the National Drug Court thing that I believe Judge Stallbrink and Judge Friedman are going to. They're bringing a number of their staff. And then the Louisville, Kentucky one is an event sponsored by the National Association of District Attorneys. That's for one of my deputies to get some training on some major felony issues.
So the answer to my question is no, you're not going to the council. I would make a motion that we
Yes, sir.
that we approve the 4 travel requests.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Moving on. Consider World Creativity and Innovation Day proclamation from Cindy Hedge. I don't think that there's anyone here to
That's
present.
okay. I assume you guys read it. I did. I would make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Old business, we have none. New business. Consider renewal of property and casualty insurance presented by John Jones and Stacy.
There's trouble.
Thank you, Madam President, Commissioners. Thanks for
Thank you, dear.
seeing me on the agenda tonight.
Thank you.
We have the property and casualty renewal coming up for May 27th, as we do each and every year. I don't have a spreadsheet. Maybe you have one of those. I've emailed out to you the proposal spreadsheet showing the packages that I've put together for your consideration this year. And I've also provided Attorney Paycheck the individual carrier proposals for his review. Last year, as you know, we switched from a long-term relationship with Chubb to Liberty Mutual for our property insurance, including crime. And this year we entertained a competitive quote from Travelers Insurance, and you'll see those lined up against the Liberty Mutual package that I've included on the spreadsheet. And I've packaged those with several other individual carriers to fill gaps in areas of risk for the county, including Travelers and Liberty Mutual for crime and property, railroad liability. We have the same carrier as last year, Aspen. And railroad property, this year we have that with Liberty Mutual currently. I've also included that to package with Markel Insurance with the Travelers package, which is option 2 on the spreadsheet. Also for our drone program here at the county, we have Global Aerospace, and auto physical and auto liability insurance. We've got quotes from Intergovernmental Insurance Exchange as well as Liberty Mutual and Travelers on an SIR basis. So you have a couple options there that I've alluded to prior to the meeting to each one of you individually that shows a self-insured plan up against a guaranteed cost plan. On the bottom of that spreadsheet, we've got 3 small ancillary policies from K&K in the Hartford individually for our programs of the jail work crew, the juveniles on probation, night reporting, day reporting, and the NOVA program, as well as the reserve police officers, the mounted posse, etc., to have a program in place for them while they're on duty. Those are low-cost policies that have some pretty good benefit to them. They're $400 for 2 of those, and then the third policy is $380, as shown on your presentation there. The savings of going to the package that I put together with Travelers is $48,864 over the package I put together with Liberty Mutual. Gallagher Bassett is our third-party administrator, and cyber liability is staying with CFC Lloyd's of London again this year. Our TPA services have increased quite a bit because of claim count, but they will reconcile that with a true up at the end once they know what the actual claims are for the year. With that said, I've got the coverage highlights on the bottom that I think more important than the premium are distinguishing the differences on terms and conditions between what Liberty Mutual has written in their forms and Travelers has written in their forms. I think Travelers' forms, terms, and conditions are stronger this year than that of Liberty Mutual, and I've indicated that through my presentation that I've sent you all before the meeting. Are there any questions, or can I expound on any of that more for you at this time?
I think the highlights here especially bring a much better. Travelers has brought a much better and stronger overall, and at a slightly lower cost than the other options. There's no other questions. I'd make a motion to accept the Travelers Package Option 2, as well as getting a historical appraisal for LaPorte County Courthouse to add the historical structure endorsement.
Yes, thank you for that.
And after your conversation we had and the information you provided, I would second that motion.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
evening.
Good job, John.
Thank you. Moving on, consider MOU between the Animal Shelter and Health Link for mobile school-based health center and human services for June 20th, 2024.
I didn't know if Eric would be here, but as president of the Animal Shelter Board, I would make a motion to approve this.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Consider settlement claim of $4,262.86 for vehicle damage by debris from county highway mower.
Motion to approve.
I'll second that. And Mr. Paycheck, I'm pretty sure you already reviewed that and it's all in order.
Yeah, it's all in order. It's a valid plan. It's above the 25.
Thank you.
So
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Now we'll move on to public comment. Public comment is open.
Yes, my name is Dean White at 3066 North US Highway 35 in LaPorte County. I'm here regarding a Vista View at Pine Lake Avenue and Waverly intersection, a Soldiers Memorial Park entrance. I'm coming before the commission once again under public comment because you have not put this issue on your agenda as requested previously by Joe Haney. It is not because it is something that I would like personally for myself. This is because the county has neglected maintenance. My comments are regarding clearing the picturesque view of Soldiers Memorial Park wetlands, preserved and owned jointly by LaPorte City and LaPorte County. LaPorte City Council says it is noted not to sell that portion of land because of the wetlands. That was said at the county council meeting. Neglect of upkeep of this beautiful view has caused scrub brush overgrowth to completely obscure the view throughout the whole summer. And then when there are no leaves, there's still obstruction of the view. It's terrible to not restore this part of the park. It's a background view to our Soldiers Memorial Park sign at the entrance to the park. I've recently addressed the LaPorte City Council, the LaPorte County Council, and the LaPorte County Commissioners regarding this issue. Connie Gramrosa and Rich Merzinski, I ask you please to come to reason on this simple request. Joe Haney brought this to a motion at the last commissioners meeting, and Connie, you stopped this opportunity with no valid reason. Your only statement
Excuse me,
being...
sir, this is public comment. We're not here to cast accusations and personal commentary. Please make your comment.
Okay, the comment is that at that moment you stated that your only reason to not allow this is the hill slope was too steep for equipment to clear. This is incorrect. The previous clearing was done by Foresters Quality Tree Service approximately 8 years ago with the direction of the county commissioners. The LaPorte County Highway Department said they could do this if so requested. In fact, Randy Novak, president of the county council, mentioned that the county has purchased a brand new expensive piece of machinery for the LaPorte County Highway Department that is designed specifically for this type of work. It's called forestry mulcher, and it's capable of grinding down a whole grown tree into mulch. Later after that meeting, Joe Haney requested, in light of the new information, that you put this back on the agenda, and it was not put on the agenda. Please note, in a letter from their attorney, the LaPorte County Council has asked you to reconsider and agree to proceed with this project. They thought it was viable. The LaPorte County Highway Department Superintendent said that clearing this area is what is needed and suggested getting a price from a company that can handle the job. For this, I chose Foresters Quality Tree Service, particularly since they had done this specific work years ago. And I asked for a discounted price for the project. Their price has come in at a very reasonable price of $7,800. Many people and organizations want this to happen. To date, I have received a number of pledges to help this initiative, totaling $4,000, which is more than 50% of the estimated cost. I also have the full understanding and support from Maria Fruth of the Healthcare Foundation. To quote her, this would be a great environmental importance, a display of caring community. It would be inspirational and a visual health benefit. I spoke with the LaPorte County Convention and Visitors Bureau, and they are very interested in seeing how this turns out and are willing to assist. I have a letter here from Tim Frankie to the LaPorte County Council. He is with the LaPorte City Council. And the letter reads, Dear LaPorte County Council, as the President Pro Tem of the City of LaPorte Common Council, I am writing to express our support for the Vista View Enhancement Project on Pine Lake Avenue, spearheaded by Dean White. This initiative promises to bring additional beauty and allure to our beloved city, enriching the lives of residents and visitors alike. While we fully endorse this project, it is imperative that we proceed with caution, ensuring the preservation of our natural landscape. To this end, and the city proposes enlisting the expertise of an arborist to meticulously assess the area. Their insights will be invaluable in identifying any trees that should remain intact. It's mostly scrub brush. Safeguarding the ecological balance of the site. Moreover, recognizing the importance of erosion control, the city is committed to planting native grass species that not only enhance the aesthetics, but also serve as a sustainable solution for erosion prevention. We believe we can find the money necessary to plant this native species within our current budget. However, it's important to acknowledge the limitations of our resources. While we can provide the expertise of an arborist and likely fund the planting of native grasses, we lack the manpower for the removal of shrubs and trees. We humbly request the cooperation of the county for additional support to undertake this aspect of the project. Thank you for your continued support as we strive to make LaPorte an even more picturesque and sustainable community. Warm regrets, Tim Frankie. I also have a letter of support from Preserve Historic LaPorte, our local nonprofit preservation group. This is
it possible for you to provide that to the office, because we've given you well over 3 minutes now?
Well, okay, I'll give you a copy of their letter. But in conclusion, let's consider all of these factors, not only for us, but for generations to come, and proceed with this project without further delay. I'm asking you, Connie and Rich, to please put your differences aside and make this happen for our community, as Joe Haney and many, many others truly believe. And let's face it, if this were my property and you lived next door to me, you'd be on the phone to code enforcement in a hurry. Note, in our LaPorte County Highway Department office, there's a beautiful large framed photograph with the words Great Lakes Wetlands and the pictures of the wetlands. Preserve them unimpaired for future generations. And we can't even see our wetlands, bottom line. Please put this on your next agenda. As I said at the beginning of my comments, I'm coming before the commission because you have not put this issue on your agenda as requested by Joe Haney. This request is not for me personally. This is because the county has neglected maintenance.
So this is for Joe Haney.
Pardon?
This is for Joe Haney. You're up here because you want us to put it on the agenda for Joe Haney.
Well, he tried to put it on the agenda, and then you said that it was not possible.
Again, you gave out a lot of false information, and I'm not going to go through all of it, but one of the shareholders in there is the state of Indiana, and you've never mentioned that in your speech. Again, I will tell you, we are looking into it. We will take your information under advisement. Any information you'd like to provide the office, you're more than welcome to come up and provide for us. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And last time I was before you, I mentioned the state of Indiana only owns along the curb, which is a grass area, and the city of LaPorte maintains the grass for the state. There is no clearing for the state. It's only county.
So you do acknowledge now that the state does own a big portion of that?
Just along the sidewalk.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam President, given the speeding up of spring and the more difficult this project will become the longer we wait as spring moves on and into summer, I would again make a motion to move forward with this Vista View clearing project, especially again given the extra donors that are going to be covering the majority of the costs on this.
So we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Not for me.
Fails for a second. Thank you. Do we have anyone else for public comment?
Good evening, Steve Hollifield, 6782 East, 100 South. Couple issues. First of all, I want to thank you for paving the roads in Fish Lake. They were in desperate need of that. Everybody's ecstatic about that. Question I had, reading the contract from Reith Riley, they are supposed to take care of all removal. They provide all the labor, equipment, and everything else. I'm wondering, watching our county highway trucks are being used for that. Are we going to get a discount from Reith Riley on that bid? So they're doing that. It's a question I have. And I've also like on County Road 800 East, south of the Kankakee River to 525 East. Several years ago, when US 31 was expanded or whatever they did that to make it limited access, in wetlands mitigation, the state purchased the Grays Farm on the east side of that road. The water is unbelievable. The state does nothing. And so far now it has leached over onto the other side. The ditches are at the top of the road. They're raising the road right now, which is, when Mike Quinn was a commissioner, they raised it 5 feet. Well, it's down below water level again. They're raising it again. It needs to be. That's a swampy area. But with the water backing up from the state side onto the other farmers, they're not even sure they're going to farm their ground this year because it's that bad. If you guys get a chance, go drive out there and look at it. There's also a drainage tile. No, it's not really tile, but there is a backflow tube on the east side at the Little Kankakee River, and it appears there's a padlock on that, so someone is stopping the water from going back to where it's supposed to be. So I'd like for you guys to consider looking at that and maybe make a resolution or talk to the state and say, hey, pump your water, because that road with the water on both sides as high as it is, you can do all the things you want in that road. But that water underneath that road, there's going to be no base or nothing. It's going to continually sink and cause more problems and more expensive for the taxpayers. So that's all we can look at those issues. And again, thanks for getting that road paved after it has been years since those roads have been paved. And also on the 23rd at 5 p.m., there's a Plan Commission workshop considering solar ordinances. I'd like, hopefully, to extend all of you guys to attend that there and listen to what our concerns are, and possibly look for the commissioners to look towards a moratorium towards that for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
But it might be something we should talk to with the drainage board about.
Yeah, so, and I normally we don't respond to public comment, but a lot of the issues that you brought up, especially the ones on the side of the road, they're handled in the drainage board. I am the liaison for that, so if you'd like to contact me tomorrow, and then I'll get all the locations, and then we'll get that passed on to that board.
Thank you.
Thank you. Last week I had somebody reach out to me from that area, and I forwarded it on to our highway department as well, just because we're working on the roads out there to see exactly what the best method is for some of that and get them to take another look at it. I haven't heard back yet, but they've been apprised as well. This is something they need to take another look at.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other public comment? Do we have anyone on Zoom for public comment? Hearing none, we'll close public comment.
Oh, okay.
Do you have something else?
Yeah, if we're done. I probably should have put it on earlier, but I just realized that I didn't. But at this time, I would like to make a motion to authorize our county attorney to institute legal action against the auditor's office to require the payment of the county's legal expenses in defending the Stevens versus LaPorte County matter.
We have a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
Madam President, I believe the auditor's office has already asked for this to be sent to the council. It was put on their agenda, but then it was pulled off for the council to authorize payment on this. As you both know, when it comes to personal lawsuits, the council has, and the commission as well, has staked out a position that anyone sued in their individual capacity should pay for it until and unless the courts decide that they should have been sued in their professional capacity. If we remember, this issue has already come up before.
The lawsuit states that it is 3 individuals suing LaPorte County. LaPorte County is the first one being sued.
Which I'm glad
So
you
we
mentioned
would
that.
not, we have the counts, again, maybe you're not aware, but on the commission, we are given a budget for attorney fees, and we're able to draw from those attorney fees.
So there are 3. There's one entity and 2 individuals who are listed in this suit. One is LaPorte County. The second is Commissioner Connie Grammarosa in her personal capacity, and the third is Commissioner Richard Mrzinski in his personal capacity. I spoke with our county attorney shortly after the first Eichhorn and Eichhorn bill that came through. I signed off on. I'd spoken to our county attorney about it, and I was under the impression that they were responding for the county. I hadn't received any updates, so I reached out to the attorney who's handling this for Eichhorn and Eichhorn, and I spoke to him. We had I don't know if it was necessarily a conversation, but he informed me that he wouldn't be discussing anything with me about the case at all. And of course, I said to him, I'm just curious. I just want to know about the LaPorte County portion. Is the personal suits against Commissioner Grammarosa and personal suit against Commissioner Mrzinski. That's their thing. I don't need to know about that. But as a member of the 3-body board of the executive, the board of commissioners, we are the county and we represent the county.
Yeah, I mean.
So I'm specifically talking about what you're saying here as far as let's lay out exactly what's
We have a motion on the table. We don't.
Some further discussion.
I'll step down as president and I'll second that motion.
So the question here is, we're up to $20,000 in legal fees. So I think it's important that we talk about what happened with my discussion with Eichhorn, because we've got some seriously concerning information that's coming out of them regarding this case. So I asked them about the information, and they told me they wouldn't discuss it, which is fine. I wouldn't discuss that information in public. But what happened is my questioning of, when looking at their itemized bill that's come through, the one before this most recent one, so the second one, it had conversations with with Mrzinski, Grammarosa. Almost the entire bill was related to that. Then that's when I called and started asking questions with the attorney there who wouldn't give me information. Now this latest bill that has come through, and now we're up to over $19,000. This latest bill that has come through has changed, and all the line items on that bill say spoke to client, spoke to client, spoke to client, spoke to client. There's nowhere does it say who they spoke to. So I don't know, did they speak to the county attorney? Did they speak to you? Did they speak to you? I know they didn't speak to me. I know they didn't speak to the board of commissioners. So the question here is, considering the council says they don't pay for personal lawsuits, and it appears the overwhelming vast majority about this is defending the 2 of you in your personal capacity, are we now changing the rules and saying that because you 2 are being sued personally, that now all of a sudden LaPorte County covers personal lawsuits, when for the past 3.5 years it has been the opposite? What can someone explain to me? Number 2, there's no way I can sign off on these recent Eichhorn and Eichhorn bills. This is some of the shadiest stuff that I've seen. I mean, they are purposefully changing the billing because I simply called out and asked what's going on here. So she's not your lapdog to give her orders up here, Commissioner Mrzinski. If she wants to call the vote, she can. You don't need to order her to, unless you're comfortable with that arrangement. But as it turns out, we need to know exactly what's going on here.
Commissioner, I'll address.
The taxpayers are on the hook for $19,000, most of which is for personal lawsuits, and the council says we don't do that.
Again.
Yes, it is. You're suing your individual personal.
Hold on, Madam President.
Anyone can sue. That doesn't mean, you know what? I'm not going to sit up
including
here.
Sheriff Friedman. Including Sheriff Friedman. He can sue personally.
You need to see yourself out of this conversation, okay?
You said anyone could sue personally.
You
That's what you said.
see yourself out of this conversation, because here it clearly says from the State Board of Accounts. This is addressed to you, Mr. Stables. Addressed to you, Mr. Stables. The State Board of Accounts.
We're gonna have a conversation.
To receive inquiries into claims payments processes for LaPorte County, including delay and or partial payment of attorney fee claims provided by the Board of Commissioners. it's very clear what you're supposed to do. If we sign off on a bill, you're supposed to pay it. You have been sued by Michigan City Redevelopment. You have been sued by attorneys, not just one attorney, several different attorneys. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Excuse me, Madam President.
This is not the place to do this.
Several.
So you know what? Why don't we move on, and why don't we just talk about what the original motion was? Do we have a right to have the motion in a second and to vote on this?
You can move on that, but before you do, I just want to address one concern because I think it's an important concern about the nature of the billing. In this lawsuit, the county was sued as an entity in addition to both you and Commissioner Brzezinski individually. This is not uncommon, sort of like, for example, when you might have a major truck accident, for example. They sue the individual driver in their capacity, but they also sue the trucking company. This is really, in a way, in the same spirit of things, that it's the entity that's sued and individuals. So this isn't uncommon. So that's why I can say I confidently believe this is a valid bill to be paid by the county based on the lawsuit. I understand, since both commissioners have been sued, the other two commissioners have been sued individually, that they might have a little bit more input than Commissioner Haney. I'd rather not talk about legal issues in an open meeting because they're legal issues and it's not appropriate for me to do so. All I can say is that the county was sued. That's in the caption. That's what's pending in the court. So you can move forward, but that, I don't know if that answers anyone's question, but that is a distinction. So thank you.
For clarity, there's been zero input whatsoever there's been zero input by me and zero information given to me about this, other than the bills, obviously.
I believe I would rather not get into personal emails and things.
We don't need to go into details. It's just for clarity's sake. There's been no input. There's been nothing there. I've asked questions, obviously, but haven't been received any. And
the commissioners have received filings, so that were filed in the court case.
Yeah. So the simple thing here is just, rather than make a motion to pay more lawyer bills, just let's simply make a motion to send this to the council so they can vote it up or down. If you believe it's going to be paid by the council, the auditor has said that if the council approves it, and it was on their agenda before you asked for it to be pulled off. If the council,
it is within our budget. We do not have to go to the council.
The issue here is that you two both have a personal vested interest in seeing this paid instead of paying it out of your own pocket. And I'm only one vote up here. So if you both recuse yourself, I can't vote to pay it because you both need to recuse yourself in this.
Yes or no?
Yes, the county is being sued.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second.
How are they not conflicted out here?
We are calling
and voting for this
vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Nay.
Motion to adjourn.
More money for the lawyers, less following of the rules.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Washington County rolls on.